Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we're going to make a Chinese proverb sign that basically says no matter how small the sparrow is, it has all the vital organs. One of the aspects I really enjoy about owning a CNC shop is that whenever I come up with ideas, I have a way to actually implement them and show you, the audience or the customer, how I go about making the kind of stuff we do. In this case here, I wanted originally just to make a really simple sign, but the more I thought about it, the more in the process I got into it, the more I decided to keep adding and improving upon the original design. Here, for instance, you see some darkness and you see some light colors. Well, that was not done with paint, that was done with burning. So the first process of making this simple sign is actually using our CNC router. And what the router will do is create the dimensional lettering, as you can see here. So this is called V-carving, which basically means that we're taking off the surface area of the cedar except for where we want the Chinese characters to be. So that's what we'll take a look at happening right now. Now the next step after the CNC router is actually cleaning up some of the lettering. The reason for the cleanup is because the bit is going through this material. This is from a scrap bin, by the way. So it wasn't the nicest material to work off with, and it had a lot of just burrs and stuff like that. So in that case there, I used something equivalent to a Dremel, and I just manually just sand off some of the worst stuff of it. I don't have to get rid of all of it, and you'll see why later on in the video. So what we'll do now, we'll take a look at me actually just deburring this sign. Of course, the size of this sign was not the right size for what I intended to use. I could have technically used the CNC router to cut it out, but I just wanted to show off another piece of equipment that I had, which is the bandsaw behind me. I just like using it. It's a very efficient tool. It produces very little waste, and it's just fun to play with. So this was a perfect excuse for me to cut this sign exactly to the spec that I wanted it to be. Now with the CNC router, what I did is I added a bit of a curve all the way around. So I had my reference for the bandsaw, and that's the nice thing about having multiple tools, some with CNC, some with not, is that you could leave yourself little hints and little jigs built into the model to follow with your hand tools so that everything is totally precise. After deburring this sign, I was actually just going to leave it as is because I really just like the look of it. My original idea was basically just where the room that this is going to be going into the shop, you have a nice overhead light, so just the shadow from that would provide the contrast. But I lived two years in China, I lived a couple of years all around Asia, and I remember seeing things like this here, but had a really nice contrast to them. And they're hundreds of years old and they still look really nice. And what they did in their case is that they hand carved this. I don't have the patience or the capability to do that, so that's why I use the CNC router. But after that, what they would do is put like a flame to it to provide the contrast. And it's a wonderful alternative to using paint. The problem with paint is that if you put this outside, it cracks, it peels. No matter what you do, it eventually comes off and sort of pours out. I'm not a big fan of it for outdoor use, especially with something as carved as this, because you have a lot of surface area for things to go wrong on. So after I did the deburring of this, we have an industrial CNC laser in the shop. So what I did is I used the laser to actually burn a layer onto this. And that's what we'll take a look at happening right now. I hope this project here gave you an idea of some of our capabilities here in the shop. There's definitely an easier way to make this, but I just like showing off different aspects of what we can do here in the shop for very simple projects. So originally what you thought was a really simple project actually uses quite a few tools. Now I could continue. I was originally thinking about actually just sanding the surface very evenly. We have a way to do that here in the shop, but I kind of like the contrast of the darkness. Now if you're wondering how come this is white and this is burned and this is burned, how does that happen with the laser? Well, you have to think about a laser as a magnifying glass. Basically you have the laser beam, it's not straight down, it's actually a cone. And when I did this here to get the burning that I want, the nice even burning, what I actually do is put the laser way out of focus. That's why when you saw the laser doing this, the laser wasn't this high off, it was, this high off. So that means basically the cone crosses and then this is the area where it burns. Now for burning, it's always up here going down. It's a gantry going over the system. So as a result, when you have something at an angle, there's just not enough power there at the angle to actually burn it to any nice depth or anything like that. There's not enough surface area basically. So just nothing really happens. I have done projects where we made a huge mall sign. I think it was maybe about 12 feet long, 12 or 24, I don't remember. We do a lot of signs, so I don't remember specific projects sometimes. And we did that whole sign. What they wanted to do was make the whole sign look like it was burned, like this. And it just came out really, really nice. Now, of course, because of NDAs and that kind of stuff, I can't show you the sign that we did. But it looks really nice. It looks like somebody actually used, like this here, hot iron and just put the logo in, but it was a hot iron that was, you know, massive. And in this case, we faked it using our industrial laser. So if you're looking for custom signage, basically any material, any shape, any size, I could have easily made this thing about 20 feet tall or whatever variation you wanted. I could have also put imagery into this. Contact me at CNCROI.com and we'll get making something awesome for you.